September 1st, the Polish town of Wieluń is heavily bombed. More than 1,200 civilians are killed in an act of terror designed to demoralize the Polish population.
The Germans deployed massive force against the Poles. They brought in 1.5 million soldiers from 4 different staging areas. They also used the Luftwaffe, the German Air Force, to level cities that were in no way strategically important.
Right from the beginning, military operations were directed against Polish civilians. There were over 500 villages torched, over 16,000 military executions.
Hitler claims that he is acting in self-defense.
What's striking when the German soldiers get to Poland is how quickly they engage in brutal actions against Poles and Jews, and so it seems like the Nazi propaganda was very effective.
In England, Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain knows the German dictator all too well. He sees Hitler's false flag operation at Gleiwitz as just that, a fabrication, a dirty trick to justify a war.
Chamberlain makes a speech in which he declares that the blame for this war rests with one individual, Adolf Hitler.
To Poland, it doesn't matter. Facing Hitler's overwhelming force and brutality, Śmigły-Rydz and his undermanned and ill-equipped Polish troops are forced to retreat on many fronts.
Śmigły-Rydz, although a competent commander, quickly lost control of the battle. Polish communications were poor, and as a result of that, Śmigły-Rydz quickly was isolated from what was going on at the front. The retreats of the Polish army quickly descended into routes because the Polish units were unable to be in contact with one another.
By September 8th, just 1 week after the start of the invasion, German forces reached the outskirts of Warsaw, the Polish capital.
There were a number of important points of resistance in the September campaign. The most famous is Wiesna, where 600 or 700 Poles stood up against 42,000 Germans for 3 days. All the Poles died, and the last soldier of Poland blew himself up with a grenade.
With losses mounting, Śmigły-Rydz is still counting on British and French help. Help that is not coming.
France promised to invade Germany within 15 days of the outbreak of war. Britain promised to respond to the bombing of Polish cities by bombing German ones. Neither was in a position to carry out its guarantees. They were serious about their commitment to Poland, but they recognized that Polish salvation would depend upon Allied victory in the broader conflict.
As Polish resistance collapsed, Śmigły-Rydz was in a desperate psychological position.
Facing Germany alone, Śmigły-Rydz gets more devastating news. The Soviet army attacks Poland from the east. With his country being carved up by 2 large armies, Śmigły-Rydz retreats across the border into Romania as Warsaw falls.
Hitler made a speech in Danzig. He stated that Poland would never rise again in the form of the Treaty of Versailles, that this was guaranteed both by Germany and by the Soviet Union.
In exile, Śmigły-Rydz helps organize the Polish underground and soon sneaks back to Warsaw to fight for the country he loves. Shortly after his return, he dies of a heart attack at the age of 55.
Śmigły-Rydz is a controversial, indeed tragic figure in Polish history. Even those who are most critical of him regard him as a brave soldier. He found himself beyond his capacities in attempting to run the entire war.
By late 1939, an independent Poland is just a memory, a casualty of Hitler's ruthless ambition for Lebensraum and a greater Germany, and the world is engulfed in war.